Welcome to Map Your Mind. Travel through the world with your brain. Settle in and get comfortable, because we're heading to the heart of Central Europa, land of spired castles, misty mountains, revolution songs, and centuries-old beer halls echoing with laughter and rebellion. This is the Czech Republic. It's not just a country on a map, it's a timeless crossroad where empires collided, ideas ignited, and a small but mighty people carved out a soul that refuses to be forgotten. Where legends were laid in stone and song. Long before skyscrapers and train stations, the lands of Bohemia and Moravia were alive with the voices of Celtic tribes and Slavic settlers. By the 9th century, these river-fed valleys had grown into the great Moravian Empire, a crucible of early Christianity and Slavic pride. Then came the rise of the Kingdom of Bohemia, and with it, Prague began to shimmer like a jewel tucked into the chest of Europe. By the 14th century, under the rule of Charles IV, Bohemia wasn't just surviving, it was thriving. Charles turned Prague into a medieval metropolis, building cathedrals, universities, and bridges that still stand today like stone poems. He made this place a center of learning, culture, and political might. But the higher a kingdom climbs, the harder it falls when the world changes. Fire, faith, and the seeds of revolt. Enter Jan Hus, a priest who dared to challenge the church nearly a century before Martin Luther nailed anything to a door. Hus spoke of reform, truth, and justice. For that, he was burned at the stake. But his spirit didn't die. In the flames it exploded. The Hussite wars that followed rocked the foundations of Europe. The Czechs were no strangers to resistance, and their fight for religious and national identity planted seeds that would grow for centuries. But as empires shifted, Bohemia was pulled into the orbit of the mighty Habsburg Empire. The Czech language was pushed aside, Catholicism was enforced, and yet, through music, folktales, and the stubborn pride of peasants and poets, the Czech soul endured. From empire to occupation to freedom's first breath. World War I shattered the world order, and from the dust emerged Czechoslovakia, a new, democratic nation formed with its Slovak neighbors in 1918. It was a fresh start, full of promise, a country rich in industry, culture, and modern ambition. But storm clouds weren't far off. In 1938, world powers sat down in Munich and handed Hitler a piece of Czechoslovakia without asking the Czechs a single thing. Within a year, Nazi boots marched into Prague. World War II brought terror and heartbreak, but also underground resistance and unbreakable courage. After the war, Czechoslovakia dreamed of rebuilding. But by 1948, the communists seized power and locked the country behind the Iron Curtain. Still, even then, the people pushed back. The Prague Spring of 1968 was a breathtaking memento, an attempt to breathe life into socialism with a human face. But Soviet tanks rolled in, and silence fell once again. Until it didn't. The Velvet Revolution and the power of peace. In 1989, the people returned to the streets not with guns, but with keys. They jingled them in the air like tiny freedom bells. And it worked. In a matter of weeks, the communist regime collapsed, and Czechoslovakia stood free. By 1993, the country peacefully split, and the Czech Republic was born. No war, no bloodshed, just two peoples choosing different paths, with respect and resolve. And from that moment on, the Czech Republic began carving its own identity with quiet strength. Where the past is present and the present is proud. Today, the Czech Republic is where medieval charm meets modern creativity. You'll find 14th century castles hosting jazz concerts. Villages where centuries-old traditions are kept alive with warmth and laughter. And in Prague, a city so beautiful it almost feels unreal. Every alley hums with history. But this isn't a nation stuck in its past. Czechs are innovators, artists, engineers, and thinkers. They value freedom. They know the cost of losing it and the courage it takes to win it back. They've turned suffering into stories, and stories into strength. Fun fact, the Czech Republic is home to more than 2,000 castles and chateaus, more per square mile than any other country in the world. It's like walking through a storybook, only the stories are real and still being written. So next time someone mentions the Czech Republic, don't just think pretty cities and cold beer though. Trust me, the beer is legendary. Think of centuries of resilience wrapped in cobblestone, of a people who've sung through occupation, danced through revolution, and held tight to their voice no matter who tried to silence it. This is the Czech Republic, a place that doesn't shout but leaves an echo in your soul. Stick around, there's a whole world to uncover, right here on Map Your Mind. Where to next?